And welcome everybody to Talking XP. I am Johnny, the host, along with Ryan, and today we are going to be interviewing Steven, aka Galiphile, on the SW5e Discord channel. Today's topic will actually be, surprisingly, SW5e, the system as a whole. Steven, how are you doing today?
Good. How are you guys?
Doing all right so far. So if you guys don't know already, we actually had the opportunity to play a one-shot using the SW5e system live on our Twitch channel. It was on April 28th. We posted the YouTube video on May the 4th, obviously, so go check it out after the interview. And if you haven't done that already, go ahead and sub and like the video as well if you enjoyed it. But let's get into this. First, starting with, how long have you been playing Ttrpgs in general?
I started with a very limited amount of 3.5 actually. This was probably 8 or 9 years ago, so it was right before 5e came out. I got invited by a friend to play 3.5. I'd never played before. We played five or six sessions, and then 5e came out and we ported it over. The rest is history.
Right on. And then, how long have you been creating content in general?
So the campaign I was in originally fizzled out, and then I started a group and ran Lost Mines of Phandelver, and then from there I just started homebrewing. So I ran a campaign through Baldur's Gate, the storyline from that game, and then after that is when I started writing the Star Wars 5e stuff. So pretty much exclusively homebrew.
When did you start doing this SW5e?
I don't remember now. It was probably 6 or 7 years ago.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I moved 4 years ago, and it was probably 2 before that. So yeah, something about that.
Wow, that's a long time. I mean, the project is so big now that it's not surprising that it's been around for that long.
Well, I should amend that. So the first version I wrote was quick, dirty, and absolutely terrible. In fact, the files are publicly shared on Reddit, and they're really funny how bad they are. So I wrote them when I had no idea what I was doing for my playgroup. We played through a campaign and then ended, and I didn't play with it again, and I didn't touch it again for almost 3 years later.
Oh, okay.
So I only picked it up again actually when I started my current job, and I just had a lot of idle time, so I started working on it at work actually, and just like literally all my idle time I was writing Star Wars 5e stuff. So
that's funny.
I remember we first played SW5e, or we played the prior incarnation of it, which I'm not sure if it was the one that you did originally, but we started playing it in 2017, and then I found SW5e that you created, and we played a little bit then, but it wasn't until this one shot that we fully...
Yeah, we played a while ago, and then like we stopped our little homebrew campaign that he was making, and then we found this one shot, and we were like, oh dude, let's totally do it. And that's when we figured out that, everything has completely changed since the time that we were playing.
Yeah, so if you played in 2017, it wasn't mine. There's been 3 or 4 other attempts to it, all of which are fine, but they don't go the whole way. They only go halfway through. Yeah. Which was always kind of my gripe. And mine released publicly June 2018.
Gotcha. Okay. So then that means that we just use a different one.
I'll amend my thing. I think it was 2018 when we did do it. And I think right after we started, I found that you had posted on Reddit the SW5e.
That's feasible because I posted it on like D&D Next 2 or 3 times in 3 months. And then I haven't posted it since because I've already got a big enough following. I'm not really worried about it. So.
You have your own website, even the SW5e.com, which is absolutely amazing. Like I cannot. Wow. I like usually when there's, I don't want to quotation marks, small project, sometimes the website's all janky and all that, but dude, like it works really well. I was completely surprised at how well it works.
Yeah, the website's been out for probably 2 years now, give or take. I think that's probably about right. Might even only be 1 year. I honestly don't even remember. So we had one guy. So the website is done by these 2 guys on my Discord server, Speedreader and Tears of Fear, and they did literally everything. It's insane, honestly. This website is so good. But the first version was like one guy doing it by himself, and it was like nowhere near as polished as what we have now. And he did fine, but it was just one guy, and the content wasn't as good.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, like, yeah, with it being out there for a year, I'm sure you guys have gotten all the bugs and all that stuff out of the way, but. Yeah, no, it's really cool. And then I know that the character creator was really cool too, where it can just port directly to Roll20, which was super useful for our little one shot because we made it on there and then we just easily threw it in there since you have the compendium and everything there. So
Right, yeah, that's all gibberish to me. Like, I don't play online and I have no coding experience at all. The extent of my coding is marked down in GM Binder, which is what I use to write the content, and literally have no understanding of anything else. So cool that it works.
What's crazy too is the fact that oh my gosh, I lost my train of thought immediately.
oh my goodness.
Oh, I know what I'm saying. Like, just like Roll20, like their compendium that they have set up for all the books and stuff. Like, it takes a while to load up. Like, your guys' website definitely like loads all the things in your guys' compendium like immediately, which is super helpful. But
Yep, that's good.
So, besides the website, one of the questions that I was wondering was what made you want to take up such a big project?
So the original version was that play group. We liked the 5e rules. We played through Lost Mines of Phandelver and then my Baldur's Gate campaign. And I'm a huge obsessed with Star Wars. I have Star Wars tattoos too. I know you guys commented on the Marvel ones. But one of my buddies in that play group was also obsessed. And the other two were like, yeah, we like Star Wars and not obsessed, whatever. So I decided I wanted to do it. The other guy was obviously all about it. I wrote it up. It was terrible. Really, the reason that it exists exists the way it is now is because I was bored at work. That's really what it boils down to. I just had so much free time. I was sitting in an office. I had nothing to do. Started writing.
Right on. So then, okay, so that kind of answers my next question of how it started with, your own group wanting to play with the D&D 5e rules in Star Wars. That's pretty sweet. And then not having or finding no time at work to do, let me repeat that. Wow. At work, having too much time on your hands and not having anything to do, that makes a lot more sense. We're bringing that into more of a fleshed out sort of thing. So that's really sweet. How is it working with other content creators on this same type of project?
So ultimately, all the content ultimately filters through me, but a lot of it I don't write anymore. So like every week I release character options or powers or something like that. I don't write those most of the time anymore. Those are written by somebody on the Discord, and then I review them regularly. Especially on the weekends, I'll go through and just look at stuff and see what is really resonating with me, and I'll kind of port it into the proper theme, polish the wording, adjust any mechanics I don't really like, and then from there push it as expanded content with giving credit to the other person. With the core books, the player's handbook is almost all me, and obviously Wizards of the Coast, but almost all of the rule changes that for Star Wars 5e in the player handbook were written by me. Starships of the Galaxy, I wrote probably a third of. A lot of that has been done by two other moderators on my Discord, this guy Stormchaser and then Rick Visto. So they have a big hand in that book. Scum and Villainy right now is just monsters, so there's really no credits beyond the people that have put in the work to make monsters. And then Wretched Hives is basically all me as well.
Cool. Right on. Is there any type of programs that you guys use to keep track of who does what or anything like that?
As far as who's working on what, most of the big stuff happens. We have Jedi Council chambers, which is what we call them, obviously, because it's
cool.
Star Wars.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Where the mods are. And so every mod I have is basically moderator is kind of devoted to, or is fixated on one aspect of the game. So like Rick and Storm were big into starships, and Rick was big into monsters, and Vesh is big into monsters, and Hugh just big into powers, things like that. So I kind of rely on them to work that portion of the content, and then when I'm ready to write, we're working on an update for Scum and Villainy because it hasn't been updated in 2 years. So a lot of that is going to be writing up a whole bunch of new mechanics to add to there, which I'll do, and then the monsters themselves I won't actually touch, and I'm relying on the others to, improve on the existing monsters and things like that. And then basically we just kind of idly keep track, and then when I'm ready for crunch time, I just start pulling everything from them and just start filtering it in.
Right, that makes sense. And Scum and Villainy is basically like the monster manual of D&D. Gotcha. That's cool. And then, yeah, one of the things, Starships of the Galaxy, that one's super interesting, just having all the different types of, actions that you can do while in your spaceship, different types of ships, and just all of that is crazy, just how much work got put into that.
Yep, and it's the portion that honestly needs the most work, and I'm not saying that what exists is bad, it's just so divergent from 5e mechanics. Like most of what exists in the player's handbook is traditional 5e, and I've just polished or tweaked it in some way, so there isn't a lot of work required there. This book is just so much different. It requires a lot more.
Yeah, I remember originally when we were playing our old campaign, before, right when I found your work, I definitely found the first iteration of the starships, where it's only like 20 pages long. And then as soon as I loaded it up, like a year or two ago, again, just to see how much has changed, like, holy moly, like they added like a whole like 60 to 80 pages from when I last saw it. Like,
yep, actual mechanics, not like the first version of Scum and Billy, or the first version of Scum and Billy, which was on the Monster Manual, and then first version of Starships was written all by me, and like I didn't know what I was doing with that content at all, so it was very bad.
Yeah, I know. I remember that we had like ship stat blocks or something like that, and that was pretty much it. It was just like, these are your actions that you have, and it was all in that same spot, and we were like, okay, cool. I mean, I by no means think that it was bad. I think that one of the greatest things about it was that it was that key to get into the Star Wars universe, you know? And I think that that's what makes it so great, is that, yes, there are things that needed to be tweaked here and there, but that doesn't mean by any means that it was bad. But it has definitely improved, I'll say that. It's like, wow, so much more content. It's crazy.
And we're working on, so like there's a lot more polishing to do. We already have a errata planned. I'll release another update in probably around September. I try to do big updates quarterly. And then from there, we're going to reverse engineer basically what's going to be called ship rating instead of challenge rating. So you build a ship, you infer the ship rating, and then you can use that ship rating to calculate encounters just like the ground game. So that's something that's planned to do. It's just we need to get the base mechanics finished and at least remotely finalized before wasting a bunch of time on that.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, well, the next thing, I mean, I think you kind of answered what you're least happy about, or at least hoping to get more work into, was the Starships of the Galaxy. But what are you most happy with? What are you just like, this is the best part of SW5e?
So there are like individual homebrew things I've written that I think are very elegant to the point that they should have been core mechanics. I think background feats is probably the best thing I've ever written, and that precedes Star Wars 5e by a lot, actually. I wrote that probably 5 or 6 years ago. Somebody randomly on Reddit, we were just talking about it, and they mentioned it, and I was like, oh, this is a great idea. I should write that every background has a choice of feats, and you just don't include the power game feats, and it works out perfectly. And then I didn't have enough ideas for it, and then the UA that came out probably 5 years ago now, that was the UA for skills, so it had all of the individual skill feats came out, and I was like, wow, this is perfect. And so I wrote it, and I released it on DM's Guild for free. And then, of course, it's now a baseline thing in Star Wars 5e. So that's probably one of my favorite, I think, most elegant homebrew that I've written on an individual basis. I also really like how the fighting styles and lightsaber forms are updated. Those are very divisive because people don't like that they lost all their passive bonuses, but it was a necessary evil.
Yeah, I think that having a background feat, like a list that you can pick from, is so cool because, I mean, it's so much better than the 5e backgrounds where you get like folk hero where you can stay at a tavern for free, which basically happens anyways when you save the town from something and you're paying like minuscule amount of gold anyways. It's only ever a problem when you're in very low levels. But yeah, no, having the feats to pick from just completely changes the character, how you want them to be played to begin with, and it actually makes it feel like they had a background beforehand, like they learned their craft and this is what they got from it. So
yep, that's exactly how I felt about it. Yeah,
that's definitely a good point.
Yeah, I love it too. I just love feats in general, so any way you can get more feats, the better.
I've got about half a dozen more for next month, so
oh, awesome.
Right on. Okay, so here are some fun questions. First going, what's your favorite memory of Star Wars in your life?
Or first memory.
My first memory?
Yeah, what's your first memory of Star Wars?
Oh, I was like 6 or 7. My dad introduced me to Star Wars on VHS tapes. Wow. Like beginning of early 1990s, something like that. I don't remember specifically, but I know that that's how it started. And like there was a point where I would do chores and get paid in Star Wars, like the Kenner Star Wars figures, because they were $5 a piece or whatever. I used to babysit. I have a niece who is 13 years younger than me, and when I was like 14 and 15, I would babysit her, and that's how my sister paid me. She'd buy me Star Wars figures.
Nice. That's what's up. Right on.
And they're all gone now, of course. I sold them all for pennies, but...
Yeah. But you were into Star Wars, so it sounds like your dad was super into it, and he just basically introduced you into it then?
He was never into it in the way that I was. I think he just liked the movies because, he was of appropriate age when they came out, and so he showed them to me, and I just obviously fell in love with them.
Yeah, that's cool. Right on. What's your favorite thing in Star Wars universe?
Favorite thing or favorite experience?
Yes.
Favorite experience is probably when Star Wars The Old Republic came out, and playing through those introductory character storylines in particular was just that game is just so damn good. I'm not playing currently. I come back once in a while. I've actually been thinking about coming back lately. So that is definitely my favorite experience with Star Wars for sure. Hopefully that will be eclipsed when I eventually go to the Star Wars theme park, but we'll see. Galaxy's Edge.
Oh, I don't want to make you jealous, but I was there about right before COVID hit. It's pretty cool. It's pretty sweet. The ambiance of the whole thing is pretty sweet.
Yep, my brother and I will go for sure. I think we're gonna wait for the Death Star or Star Destroyer hotel because it has like a whole event thing that goes with it. So I think we're gonna wait for that and waste an absurd amount of money paying for a hotel.
Of course.
It's for the experience, though.
Well, yeah, of course. Favorite thing then in the universe?
I don't know. I like, as much as I enjoyed like the Jedi and Sith theme, I think Star Wars is not about the stories. I think it's about the worlds. I think that's actually like, I mean, I'm obsessed with the MCU as well. And so MCU is very focused on the characters and the stories. I think Star Wars is the opposite. I think the Star Wars stories are things that occur in the universe, but the universe itself is actually way more interesting and way more expansive and like limitless functionally. So I'd say that's probably my favorite part, is how open-ended and how unconstrained it is.
Which, I mean, brings up a great point as to why to play SW5e. I mean, like, the fact that there is so much in that galaxy that you could just randomly come up with, and it could just be connected to every single planet in that galaxy. I mean, we were talking about how we might even think about making a campaign after the trilogy, or after the sequel trilogy, just completely after, just get away from all of that story and just start a new one. And there's so much that you can just drop into and talk about, play through, and all that. So no, I think that's definitely a good point. If you lived in the Star Wars universe, what would you see yourself being or doing?
Man, probably some kind of merchant, something money-based. I would be a nobody on a backwater planet. You know, like, I would be the biggest fish in a small pond, I guess, is probably what I would expect to be, in a very small pond.
So you'd be the one that during the movies they would go because they need just a very niche piece of information, and you are that guy.
Yep, I would be on screen for 3 seconds answering a question, and then that's it. That you'd never see me again. Right on.
Like Stephen Colbert when he was in the Hobbit trilogy. Oh, what was it? I think it was the second one. So they're trying to send a message to the like king guy. I can't remember his name either. I'm blanking.
That's the Hobbit movies in a nutshell.
Yeah, right. It goes through a network of people, and then Stephen Colbert, who was a giant like RPG nerd, Lord of the Rings nerd, he's in it for like 2 seconds, and then he flips like his eye patch down, and then that's it. He's in there for 3 seconds and he's gone. So you'll miss him if you're not looking for it. But anyways, that's you. Right on. Is there any Star Wars character that you identify close with?
I really like the scoundrel smuggler type characters. So movies, I'm Han Solo all the way. Orlando. For like expanded content, I really liked Galt Renault from Star Wars: The Old Republic. If you played, he was one of the bounty hunter companions, and he was hilarious and awesome.
I did play a little bit of Old Republic, but I didn't play the bounty hunter. I'll have to go back and...
I played all 8 classes to completion at whatever point I was playing. Shadows of Revan, I think, is when I last played like obsessively.
See, I would love for them to make more Star Wars films with the cinematics that they did. Like, I'd love to see that film, because those cinematics are just masterpieces.
Well, Star Wars just needs a Kevin Feige figure.
They really do.
And it sounds like that Jon Favreau might actually fill that niche, because, you know, the movies have just been so disjointed, and I mean, the sequel trilogy is offensive.
It just, I don't understand what they were trying to go for. It just seemed like I don't even think they knew what they were trying to go for. I think that was the issue.
That's the issue with The Last Jedi right there. I mean, The Force Awakens is bland, it's vanilla, but it's okay. But there's just no communication between where they wanted the story to go. So Palpatine coming back out of nowhere, like in the third movie, and if they had hinted at that throughout the first 2, it would have been a great reveal, but it wasn't. It was revealed in fucking Fortnite. That's how they revealed Palpatine returning.
What?
You didn't know that?
I must have missed this. Really?
Yeah, there was like an event in Fortnite like 2 weeks before Rise of Skywalker came out, or like 2 weeks before the trailer, and it was like the message that starts in Rise of Skywalker, where it's like the Emperor cackling and talking or whatever, is from Fortnite. That's where it was revealed originally. Oh
my god, that is exactly so bad.
That's gonna age a lot worse. I mean, it already has aged worse than Fortnite and Endgame.
Yeah, I mean, I just remember. So I don't really have very much of a memory of the last trilogy because, you know, it's not really memorable, but there are a few points. But anyways, besides that, all I remember from the last one is Palpatine being connected to some like giant robotic arm that like lifts him around and stuff. I was like, what is that? Like, what? Yeah, I couldn't jump on board on that one, but
Yeah, I think you summarized my feelings of the sequel trilogy perfectly. Just Force Awakens, yeah, bland. Last Jedi, I appreciated what they were trying to do. And then it just, if you can't conclude it, like what's the point?
What's the point of starting it?
Because clearly they didn't have a plan, like you said. Like,
yep, that's the issue. And The Last Jedi opens a couple of fairly stupid plot holes, but that's fine.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. But there's only greatness to come from here, right? Hopefully.
When you hit the bottom, you can only go up.
Mandalorian was incredible, and Bad Batch comes out, or is out now, right?
Right, yeah, Bad Batch. It looks super sweet, just having like a group of clones that didn't get the order.
Yeah, see, Johnny, you need to watch through Clone Wars and Rebels. I've told you this several times.
Have you not watched those cartoons? Dude, I guess I don't know if this is a Star Wars podcast, but like they're very good. You know, they both are children's shows that age up, so it's a little bit of a struggle in the first season or two. Rebels season 1 is a little bit of a struggle, but they get really good.
Yeah, that's the issue that I was running into with Clone Wars, is that I tried starting it and I was like, ugh. And then I know that everybody says that it's very, very good, and I need to get to it, but I'm stuck on like the worst part about my schedule is that I don't watch a lot. So when I do, there's already been so many other good things I have to watch through. So I'm just on a backlog of watching random stuff, but yeah. Anyways.
Yeah, but
I'll get on it.
If you watch season 7 of Clone Wars, Johnny, that's where the Bad Batch is first appearing. They have like a 3-episode like story arc. Maybe it's 4 episodes. It's so short.
Something like that.
Yeah.
With Echo, yeah. It's awesome.
Cool. Well, within Star Wars 5e, or the SW5e, there has already been quite a few different source books that you guys have released already. The Player's Handbook, the Scum of Villainy, which is basically the monster manual, the Starships of the Galaxy that we talked about, and then the Wretched Hives, which that's the one that adds like downtime activities, running factions, and then it also introduces a few enhanced items, or actually it introduces enhanced items, right? So with all of that crazy amount of content already released, is there anything planned next?
So I jump around, so I always have like a bunch of different files I work on, so when I get inspiration about something, or I have some kind of like epiphany, I make sure I get in and take notes. So there are plans for 2 more books, Galactic Strongholds, which will cover building your own bases and leveling them up, and it will also include rules for mass combat. So those are the 2 big features of what that book will entail. And then there's going to be a final 6th book with no name yet. That's going to be just character options. So it's going to take a lot of like my favorite variant rules, kind of bake them in so they can just be core mechanics instead. But it's all still optional. And then more character options, more feats and stuff like that.
So a lot of the stuff that you've been posting on Thursday is probably going to be published in that one.
So the game plan is, so there's going to be a total of 6 books. So every book is going to have 30 species. So the Player's Handbook has 30 species, the 10 classes. Each class has 4 archetypes, so 40 archetypes and 20 backgrounds. So with the exception of Starships of the Galaxy, all of the other, in Player's Handbook, all the other 4 books are going to have that same allocation. So Scum and Villainy is actually going to get character options for species, archetypes, and backgrounds that are appropriate to like a monstrous appeal.
Right.
Wretched
Like
Hives will
Volo's
get the same thing for city focused stuff. Galactic Strongholds is going to do the same, you know. So all 5 books will have that. So we'll end up, the target is to have 150 species available. Right now there's like 110 or 120. 200 total archetypes, 20 per class, and right now there's like 120 or so, I don't know. And then 100 backgrounds total. That's the target across all those books. And so all the stuff that gets released is expanded content, which is effectively UA for Star Wars 5e. It's not finished. It's just I want people to use it, and then it gets a lot of reviewed on the Discord in particular. And then when I'm ready to release it in a book, I'll go back over and fix anything that needs to be fixed, clean up anything that needs to be cleaned up.
Cool. How does that process work with the reviewing and all that stuff? I imagine that having a Discord server probably helps out a lot, but do you have like mods that kind of review all of the feedback and stuff like that?
So it's basically just discussions will happen on the Discord. There are distinguished members and moderators and counselors and stuff like that. So people just talk about it, and then somebody will typically make a compilation of changes, or they'll rewrite the archetype with their own review. And then when I'm ready to push that content into a book, then I'm going to go back over and kind of touch up on all of them. So like, for instance, there's an artificer engineering discipline, which was written over 2 years ago at this point. And so a lot of the mechanics are dated, and a lot of the way the upgrade system works, it's not conducive with the modified items rules in Wretched Hive. So I'm going to merge those two so they work better alongside each other. So it's a lot of changes like that. Some of them are very simple. Some of them are more involved.
I think I really liked your guys' April Fool's rock species. That was pretty.
That was so good.
I don't know. I have no idea what you're talking about. Rock species? What are you talking about?
I sent it to one of our other cast members, Sabrina, who just makes the most chaotic characters ever, and she was really thinking about just taking that and using it.
She didn't realize it was April Fool's. She's like, oh, I want to play this character.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it was so funny. That was so good.
I don't know. Rock character. That sounds really interesting. I'd be interested to see how that works. Not in Star Wars 5e though.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to try and do another one shot. Maybe play all characters as that species.
This is audio, so you guys have a heavy wink in there,
Of course, yeah. There's been some heavy winks in there. Let's see. There was another thing I was gonna ask, but now I totally forgot it was. Nope, it is gone. I think it was something about your Discord.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm on there all day answering questions, watching people talk.
Because your job has a lot of time that you can end up doing that kind of stuff. That's awesome. That's so cool.
I'm in my computer chair probably 12 or 14 hours a day, if I'm being completely honest with you.
Do you have any questions for us?
No, I'm looking forward to listening to this.
Yeah. We'll make sure to give you the details, and thank you everybody else that tuned in for this interview. Please go check out SW5e. We will have their link in the description. It's super easy, sw5e.com. So just go ahead and check them out.
Or StarWars5e.com. They both work.
Oh, really? Does it just redirect? That's awesome.
I paid extra $10 for that domain every year just so I can do that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Which they have a Patreon.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, the Patreon is to support the website. So if you feel obligated, do it. If you don't. Yeah,
we'll have that link down there as well. I highly encourage it because of how much work that these guys have put into all of this. It's incredible. We will also be adding the community Discord link into the description as well. Like Steven said, they release new content on Thursdays, so go ahead and take a look at that as well. We will also be having a link to our real play video where we run through the one-shot Let the Sleeping Lugubra Lie. So make sure to check that out. It uses the SW5e rule set as well, so you can get a little taste of how it looks and plays.
And we specifically made sure during that playthrough that you had a little bit of everything. We had space combat, we had ground combat, we had space exploration, and like boss mechanics. So definitely check that out.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun playing. I played a Mandalorian who was super edgy and pretty great, but it was a lot of fun. So anyways, thank you guys for joining us. Make sure to level up, and we'll see you next time.